I picked up this green Game Boy Color. I'm not sure what was wrong with it, so I decided to do the only logical thing and see if I could turn it on. And as you see here, I turned it on. It doesn't show the Nintendo logo. I don't have a game in there, so I gotta pop in a game first and see what happens. As you can see, the Nintendo logo does pop up, and it doesn't look terrible, honestly. Usually when the Nintendo logo is screwed up, that's a sign that either your games are dirty and need cleaned, or the pins on the Game Boy needed cleaned. So I tested multiple games just to make sure that it was the game and not the Game Boy itself. So I popped in a copy of Kirby. The Nintendo logo looked good, and would you look at that, the game booted up. So now that the game works, though, I needed to figure out, okay, do all the buttons work? And right off the bat, I noticed that they did not. The start button specifically, well, the start and the select button weren't working very well, but also the A button. I had to press the A button multiple times to get it to register. As you can see here, I'm struggling. Nothing was clicking. So I knew right away that I'm going to have to take this thing apart. I'm going to have to take the front off, and I'm going to have to clean all of the connectors where the buttons touch and make sure that everything is not disgusting, because gamers are gross. And I have learned over the years of fixing these things, the gamers are disgusting. And I just don't get it. I don't get why people eat Cheetos and then immediately touch all their controllers. I also decided to pop in just one more game. Popped in Tetris. Well, actually, I think I pop in Pokemon too. Regardless, I popped it in making sure things are working, because some games don't use other buttons. Tetris specifically is one that doesn't use a lot. I mean, there's not even a lot of buttons there, but the start button specifically, you needed to start the game and I couldn't get it to start. So I knew that I needed to clean the buttons. But I also cleaned the games, and I clean a little bit of the inside of the Game Boy as well, just to make sure the connectors are clean. I picked up this this Game Boy toolkit for like 10 bucks on eBay. Comes with a bunch of different screwdrivers that fit Game Boy, that fit cartridges as well. I use it to take apart Game Cubes. There's just a lot that you can get with those game bits. So there was a little bit of corrosion on the battery connectors as well. So scraped that off. Just trying to clean it all, because once again, gamers are gross. When I first got this, it had batteries that were inside and they were super corroded, so I knew I would have to clean that immediately anyway. But I popped in Pokemon. Pokemon booted up. It was working. That was good. So the Game Boy plays the games. That was a big first step. Really makes me happy knowing that the Game Boy actually plays the games, because that's stuff that's a little bit trickier to fix. But the buttons was going to be an easy thing. But like I said, I knew right away that the start button was not working, the select button was not working, A button wasn't working very good at all, so it was just a struggle. But after this, after I tested, I made sure that the the Game Boy worked, so I knew that I needed to take it apart, and I got to get all of those connectors cleaned. So there's just a few screws right here on the back of the screen that you undo, zip these off, and then you can flip it out. I just left the ribbon cable attached because these were my spots that I needed to clean. And honestly, they weren't that bad. Like, there wasn't a lot of crud on them. So I'm not really sure what the issue is. After this quick clean though, just rubbing some isopropyl alcohol on Q-tips, it seemed to work just fine. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of gunk or anything. I've seen some Game Boy teardowns where there's like black buildup and there's wear on these buttons and they're done for. Not the case for me. Very lucky. Honestly, the only thing really that was cosmetically wrong with this Game Boy was the D-pad. It looked like somebody took their fingernail or a knife and like cut into the D-pad. I was cleaning these sponges as well, the button sponges, because they're disgusting. Once again, gamers are gross, and obviously this, like, most people don't take apart their stuff like this, so this is just stuff that leaks through. But if you can see here on the D-pad, on the bottom section there, it looks like somebody took a little knife or razor blade or something and cut into it, and I don't understand that. But we got the buttons all cleaned. I tried to clean up the case as best as possible. Got all the sponges clean, and then I started putting this puppy back together. And my goodness, it was I really enjoy taking apart Game Boys. They're really simple. They're really fun. There's not a lot to them. Like I said, when I turned on the Game Boy and it was reading the games, that made me happy. Because that's something that's a little bit harder to fix. And the screen's great too. Nothing wrong with the screen. The speaker worked. You can hear the games boot up with the little Nintendo sound effect, and also the music sound effects. Like it all works good. Speaker worked great. So I just gave this thing a little cleaning, and it was good. It's a nice Game Boy. I think that the Game Boy is a fun system. Not one that I had growing up. I had a Game Boy Advance SP that I played games on, and eventually I got a DS. That was my main handheld for the longest time. So I didn't really get the Game Boy. I didn't have one. But now I have a DS Lite. I have a 2DS. I have a 3DS. I have a Game Boy Advance SP. So I have a way to play all of the Game Boy game library, from Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS. Like I have a way to play all of these. So this was just a flip. Got this, cleaned it up, and yeah, everything was working. The buttons were working great. I actually didn't even know that there was a dedicated, like, obviously A is a jump in all these games, but when I was testing Kirby, I kept pressing A and nothing was happening, so I just assumed that you couldn't jump, you could only fly. But no, if you press the A button, Kirby jumps. Who knew? This wasn't a game I had growing up. I didn't play this one, but yeah, all the buttons worked. The start button worked. The select button worked. The select button in Kirby, I discovered right here, throws your power up out, and it worked every time. Start button worked. A button jumped. Perfect. Everything just worked. So I was really happy with this one. It was pretty easy to fix this Game Boy. Honestly, it wasn't even broken. It just needed cleaned. So once again, for people that have stuff like this and you're afraid to kind of take it apart because you're afraid you're going to break it, just do it. Like, take it apart, watch some videos on YouTube, start to fix your stuff, start to clean it, take things apart, just learn. Sometimes you'll get things that are super broken, just destroyed beyond repair. So when I get things like that, I like to just take them apart and see what's on the inside. I'll watch a couple videos, see if I can learn more about whatever it is that's broken, and then see if I can fix it myself, see if I can clean it. And if I can't fix it and I can't clean it, you can always sell things for parts, or if you know what specific part you need, you can get on eBay and you can buy parts. Like, I know a lot of people, myself included, are nostalgic for some of their old consoles and they don't want to get rid of them. I understand. If you want to keep that specific thing, then just buy parts for it. Luckily, I didn't have to buy any parts for this, and once again, this is just a flip, but I've had tons of systems in the past that I really like that were mine. Originally, they were mine. I didn't get these secondhand. My first consoles, and I want to keep them. I'm nostalgic for that kind of stuff, and it's also a little bit sentimental. So, again, I think that more people should get in the habit of trying to fix things. Don't be afraid to pull things apart, to look at them, to clean them, and try to fix them. Because you never know. You just might be able to fix it. We did it.